Hey everyone, Road to Retire. Welcome back to the channel. This whole channel has been dedicated to showing off my side hustles, giving you advice on which ones are good or not based on my personal experience. And then the whole goal based on the channel name was to try and retire early. Definitely trying to retire early is still the goal here, but nonetheless, it is kind of taking a back seat to what are my goals in life. So if I were to retire early and I strictly focus on that, once I were to get to that point, what would I actually do? And my lifetime goal is to go to every national park, become a wildlife and nature photographer. So I've actually kind of flipped, and I want to make the national parks and the hiking and seeing all of the beauty in the United States. I kind of want to make that the priority instead of retiring early. So, mindset has kind of shifted a little bit, and I can proudly say, it might be hard to see, but I finally visited my first national park. Enjoy some of these photos. Shenandoah National Park is officially the first one that I've ever visited, and it was the only one that was feasibly close to me. It's like a 4-hour drive from where I live, so very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for my wife for watching my son and letting my psycho ass do a day trip there, which included leaving my house at 2:50 in the morning and coming back at 8 p.m. So very enjoyable, and it just gave me the itch to do this for the rest of my life. So that being said, I'm still working on the retire early aspect because I want to get my burn rate as low as possible. That way I can save up as much as my 9-to-5 job income, and then I can use that to fund all of my goals and still be financially independent. So with that being said, we are going to talk about my portfolio for my income and my distributions and where it currently sits and my future vision for it. All right, so here is where the portfolio is currently sitting at. Again, since this is a income specific portfolio, the dollar amount, the total value of the account here of $36,000 doesn't really matter. And yeah, you're going to see it fluctuate. I'm recording this on 12/20 on a Monday because I have off today and I have my last PTO day tomorrow before it's back to the grind. So yay, taking advantage of that and finally recording a YouTube video for the first time in a long time. But nonetheless, we just don't want the net asset value of the account to decay. And that's, kind of the main goal of investing into income based investments. And that is definitely the strategy that I'm trying to employ here. So I do a lot of covered call options here. GLPI is the one that I'm going to be using for my property taxes. That's gaming and leisure properties. I just started building up that position. The rest are all covered call or covered call related, like ELN stuff like JEPI and JEPQ. Nonetheless, these are all income funds, and I currently have 8 or 9 recurring bills paid for at this point. Obviously, they are lower bills. Stuff that's not super expensive. The most expensive bill that I currently have paid off is my internet bill, which is around $100 a month. The cost of living in the middle of nowhere in PA, but nonetheless, it is paid off. So my strategy for this type of investing is to have a conservative estimate of what you expect the fund to bring in on a monthly or quarterly basis. So if you need $20, let's say, for one of my bills, which is conveniently my cell phone bill monthly, my goal is to have a fund that pays around $25 a month conservatively. And when I say conservatively, I estimate using the lowest paid distribution from that fund in the past 5 years. That's how I get my conservative estimate, and I want that estimate to bring in $25. So if the bill is $20, and then obviously I'm hoping to get like $5 or more from my investment, I will take that top half, the amount that goes over $20, and I will reinvest it back into the fund. That'll help keep the net asset value floating and staying above. And as you can see, if I go to the 1-year chart here, the portfolio, and you can tell this is where I started like putting money in, or at least this is like the baseline of how much I put into the account, like $33,700. It's doing quite well. It's up 8%. This dip is when the total market dipped and we had the whole tariff scare with Trumpy, and it's doing just as well as the S&P, just because I went pretty heavy into this account when we were having the downturn during all of the bear market talks with Trump. So this is doing really well comparing to the S&P 500, especially when you factor in the dividends or the distributions that I am taking out of the fund and not even reinvesting except for that top little piece off the end. So, you know, I'm not losing any portfolio value here that isn't like a comparable loss to the S&P. Like obviously when the portfolio dipped here, the S&P was dipping and the entire world index was dipping as well. So, you know, this is what you want to see from an income-based portfolio. You don't want it to decay and decay and decay. And basically when it's paying your distribution, the fund is just getting, you know, slowly and slowly towards its inevitable death where they have to do reverse splits to keep it alive. That is not the goal here. I want to keep everything above board. The downside to doing covered call portfolios like this is that you are capping your potential gains. And considering this is an income only portfolio, I have no issues with that. Like I said, you just want to keep above water. Essentially, you want to be even with your capital gains and you just want the designated yield coming from your distribution. So it's like I try to target anywhere from like a 7 to 9% yield right now. And this portfolio currently is giving me anywhere from the 220 to 320 a month range. And I'm gradually putting all my side hustles into this portfolio right now, get my burn rate as low as possible and save up for, save up for national park trips in the future. During the past month, I haven't been investing that much into this portfolio, granted, and that's because I was busy investing into my gear for hikes and I used it all in Shenandoah. So I got like a camera bag, I got a big military backpack, I got hiking pants. What else did I got? I have it all written down. I have like external storage so I can put my wildlife photos there, keep them forever. I got a new Garmin GPS watch so it's easier to track for hikes. I got like all this stuff on Amazon Prime during Prime Week. So it's gonna get to the point where I go all in on the portfolio again, and I will continue to see a rise in income. You know, it's not my number one priority right now because the markets are really high. They're at like all-time highs as we speak. So I'm not like, you know, raring and itching at the bit to invest as much as I possibly can, because as dividend investors know and income investors know, it's more rewarding to invest, or at least it's easier to invest when the market is down and you get cheaper and higher yield on cost for your initial purchase. So that's where the portfolio is sitting. Let me know if you have any questions or commentary. If you're building an income portfolio yourself, let me know down in the comments. Sorry for a lack of uploads, but hey, you know, this has been my, you know, first week off of PTO for like 5 or 6 months. And, you know, I have a kid now, and my wife and I are taking turns watching him, and, you know, we're working on having another kid. So, you know, things are hectic in my life. So, you know, I would apologize for the lack of uploads, but it's just life and I can't really do much about it. So hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one.